Good evening, and another talking technical, and we've got nice requests, and there's maybe one or two that some good buys here, but definitely you can see that investors are starting to get a little bit nervous, and of course I can understand that. I mean, these markets were actually hammered the last few days. Even the S&P 500 entered briefly again into bear market territory, and that tells you that there's some huge nervousness around the Fed. And remember, all the investors for years were just trading the Fed. I mean, the Fed did everything. The Fed controlled interest rates. They lowered it. They pumped the money. I mean, it was just so easy. And as one friend of mine said, he said, I don't know why everybody was so worried about it, because you can just buy, you can just stay in the market. Suddenly, it's a different story. And well, let's kick off with Glencore. Now, Glencore is one of those big conglomerates, a mining company. And if I look at this chart, it purely says to me that the momentum is starting to show some early cracks. Now, I'm looking at a possible double top here. Now, this double top makes me a little bit worried, because every time that the share gets to this 104 Rand, it looks like it finds some resistance. But on the other hand, if you look at the chart, look at this rapid sell-off when it takes place. Even there, you can see it. But I'm looking at this level. And remember, this is a normal daily chart. I'm looking at this level. This level is the important support for me. And that support sits at 88.75. Unfortunately, Glencore, massive company, deal with a lot of commodities. If it gets below 88.75, we've got the possibility of this double top that can play out. And where can it go to? Well, let's just do that projection for you. There you are. It can maybe take the share all the way down to 77.04. And for me, I want to see this kind of chart. There's a low, a higher low, nice moves to the upside, then I'll be happy. But at the moment, it looks like it's selling off. I know it did sell off a lot when the markets were under pressure. But I mean, these commodity counters, if you just look at it, and I think we must just put it into perspective. Look at this rally. I mean, just from 2021, Glencore rallied from 47 Rand to 110 Rand. I mean, yes, the commodity prices went up. Yes, everybody was buying, but I think it's maybe time to see them cool off a little bit. Our next request is South32. And of course, what do we see here? I see suddenly there's requests about Brent and South32. So there's a lot of investors that really starts to think that this commodity rally maybe has rallied a little bit too far. Now for me, I think it was Janet that asked about this one. Janet, if you look at this beautiful support line, it tells you that the momentum is still clearly to the upside. Look at this. It is on the brink of testing this line. So yes, if it breaks this line, and that is sitting at 50.28. If it breaks below 50.28, I would say for a day or two, not just one day, but maybe for a day or two, I usually like to see a little bit of a confirmation. Then I can say that this uptrend is showing some sure cracks. The reason why I'm saying that, there's also a type of a double top scenario already slowly but surely in the making. Look at that. There's a high, there's a lower high. That tells you the momentum is slowly but surely drying up. So, Janet, if I look at this chart, yes, you can buy it because I think you just want to buy it again. Yes, you can buy it because it can bounce off here, but then I think use this as your stop loss. Your stop loss will be 48.05. And you know what? I got a nice email this week, and somebody said, you know, Frans, I've seen over the years, maybe if you discuss South32 or Glencore, maybe you can go and look at some of those other shares in that sector and maybe find some nice picks there. So you're quite right there. I sometimes get some interesting requests, but then I haven't got time to go through all the different shares or the mines in the sector for this case. So yes, just browse a little bit around, and then maybe you'll find another nice opportunity lurking somewhere. Alex from the UK sent me an email and he wants to buy Alibaba. He said he watched the show a few weeks ago and he said that I did say that we're going to see a relief rally. He wants it to not be a relief rally. He wants to be in the share and want a prolonged rally. So Alex, maybe you're right, but and this is the rally that we were talking about. Look at it. It went from about 78 dollars all the way up to 121 and suddenly lost momentum down to 98. So that's the case. Alex, always keep in mind when you are involved with a bear market is an interesting sort of character. You see these rapid sells off. There you can see it. There you are. It's selling off. And then you see these beautiful bounces. Sometimes a 5% bounce, a 7% bounce, sometimes even more, 10 or 15%. So that is quite true. But you must also remember, if you do something like this, I just say, just see the trend. And the moment I do this, I'm not even going to go back that far. And you will see immediately, where's the trend? The trend is, look at that, is still 100% to the downside. So the momentum is to the downside. Where can we say that this trend will turn around? Alex, that is the first sign, but this trend will only start to tell us the first sign here that above this level, and I'm going to give you that level, 120, there you are, 120, 189. Above 121.89, that will be your first sign to say that the trend is starting to change and maybe we're going to see an uptrend. And as you use this resistance line to tell you that something is wrong and the trend is down, you can always use and swing that around and you can use it as a support line. And then you say to yourself, oh, I'm seeing a little bit of higher lows here. There's maybe early signs of a trend reversal, but I use always that horizontal line to guide me and actually confirm for me that the trend is starting to change. So yes, if you want to buy it, I think only buy it above that level and then maybe make use of this stop loss. I'm going to give you that stop loss 93.20. By the way, why do I always say maybe use that stop loss? I've learned over the years that all investors, traders, they've got all different risk profiles. But I teach them and I try to get into their minds that you must adapt your risk profile to your stop loss. Sometimes it's a candle's low, sometimes it's a percentage, sometimes it's a support or a resistance, and you must always look at it and say it's either going to be too big, too small, or you must adapt to that. Well, let's carry on. Well, Fred is asking about Bitcoin, and I warned about Bitcoin for quite a while, but I also made a tiny little joke on Twitter the other day, and I said, it's quite interesting, all the long-term investors of Bitcoin, where are they? Now, I can remember on any or all social platforms when Bitcoin was trading close to 65, 60,000, there was just so many people telling you buy Bitcoin and you must just hold on to it. It's a wonderful investment. It's for the long term. And yes, maybe it is for the long term, but I think maybe it's now only time to maybe look at Bitcoin. And where do we see it? I mean, we know this head and shoulder formation. We talked about this double top. The momentum is to the downside. But what do we see now? We see these waterfall formations to the downside. For me, I will wait for this trend line, and that resistance line is holding the clue for me. And I know maybe if you want to buy, you're going to say, Frans, why don't I get in at 22 or 21,000? There's nothing wrong, you can do that. But if I look at this chart, I'm seeing the following, and I just want to draw this line in. A lot of people looked at this falling wedge, and they said to themselves, this falling wedge is bullish. And it should break to the upside, while it did not. It actually moved the other way around and it fell to the wayside. So I will wait for this line there, that resistance line, to turn into a support before I will look at Bitcoin. And that will be at 28,249. My stop loss will be 26,288. And the target for this wedge, if it starts to play out, because I think what we'll see eventually, we'll draw a line here somewhere. if it starts to bounce and get maybe a bigger target. So I'll stick to my level, and then it can maybe move all the way back to 37. So yes, we all are excited about it. I'm not excited because I'm not planning to buy Bitcoin. But a lot of people are excited and want to see where can they buy Bitcoin. But as you all know, remember, this is a highly volatile instrument. And this is the problem child of the world, Brent crude oil. But what worries me is the following. That's why I'm showing this chart. Is look at these lower shadows. There's one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. That tells you that there's a lot of investors, and remember this is a daily chart, that is supporting that line as it goes and as it develops. Yes, we can easily see that we may be heading into a rising wedge scenario now, but if I look at this chart, I will only get nervous when it's, well, excited, not nervous, excited, because I don't think anybody's long in oil anymore. I think everybody's just waiting and hoping that it's coming back. I will only get excited for a move to the downside below 122.27, and especially if the low of this little shadow can actually been taken out, and that will be 120.89. I think if it drops there, and we can maybe see the support all the way down to 115.52, and that of course will be fantastic news for South Africa. Then the rand mustn't weaken as the way it did. I mean, 80 cents in 3-4 sessions. It's horrible for us. Let's see. Well, guys, that is the end of the first part of the show. Thank you for watching the show, and of course, visit our website www.fransklerk.com, and remember, if you want to send in a request, sometimes send it direct to me, Frans@fransdeklerk.com, and then we can analyze it for you on the show if we've got time.